Hey, pre-PT group. I hope everyone's doing well. Sorry, there's a glare. So if you're watching this, I'm guessing that you are more than likely either in college or high school. Maybe you're even in PT school. And I think what I'm going to talk about hopefully will apply to everyone across all different settings. And I know I posted this title kind of controversially as get into PT school before ever applying. And really what that's about is about certain strategies that you can use to make yourself the most attractive candidate possible. So we have to be real about a few things. Number one, is everyone that's going to be applying a very good candidate in terms of GPA, GRE scores, all the objective measure type stuff? More than usually, the answer is yes. People are going to be very, high up in their GPA, high up in their classes, do well in the GREs. So it's kind of a given. It's also a given that everyone's going to meet their observation hours because usually it's a requirement for a lot of schools. The other thing is, everyone is going to be qualified to get into PT school, and I guess we can argue if that's the case, but the reality is a lot of these schools have already set standards of what they're looking for in terms of those objective measures. So we already know that those have to be hit, or at least come close to. And if you don't feel comfortable with where your scores are, things like that, definitely look up Bergamy and his YouTube videos about getting into PT school with a low GPA. He's a super inspirational guy. I highly recommend you check him out if you feel like that's you. But what I wanted to say is, let's look at it from a different point of view. So let's say that you're in college right now and you want to go to PT school. And this could apply to medical school, it could apply to any other type of field. But since we're in the pre-PT group, let's consider PT as the primary target, getting into PT school. So a few things that we can do that I would highly recommend doing is that right now you start getting on social media and you start looking at these schools. See if they have a social media presence. Does the program have a social media Facebook page? Do they have a Twitter account? Do they have an Instagram account? Do they have an active website? And then within that, look at the faculty. See if they have Facebook pages. See if they have Twitter handles. Start seeing the content that they're putting out. The reality is no matter what, whether you're a 5-year-old, a 12-year-old, a college student, a 50-year-old clinician who's been working for 20 years, this game is about relationships. And what we have to start to do is leverage the relationships that we have. And by that I mean, it doesn't matter whether or not you're in PT school right now. You can start forming relationships today. You can start following these people who are parts of these programs. You can start retweeting their stuff. You can start liking their stuff on Facebook. You can start adding comments saying whether you agree, disagree, you like, you don't like. Because then the people are going to start to know you. And the ultimate reality is a lot of these decisions, whether who gets into PT school and who doesn't, is still determined by a human being. Sure, there are some programs that are more, we'll just call it algorithmic than others, that they look at all the objective measures, decide whether or not you get in or not. I'd argue that, it is what it is. Maybe there are some programs out like that. Maybe Casey can speak better to that than I can. What I would say is that the majority of schools still give interviews, and the majority of schools still determine who gets into PT school by a council of human beings. And if there's one thing we know about human beings, we love bringing in people that we know, have trust with, and have built a relationship with. So right now, if you can start building friendships, and it doesn't have to be I'm best friends with this person, it means that if your name shows up as an applicant on a piece of paper or your resume shows up on their table, they don't just see Will Boyd. They see Will Boyd, oh my gosh, that's that kid that's always talking to me on Twitter or commenting on my stuff on Facebook or sending me these emails, asking me questions about my work. I know that kid. Oh my gosh, yeah, I have a face to this person's name. Automatically you've separated yourself from the other stack of names that these people don't know. They can't put a face to that name. So right now, you have a chance to start building these relationships today. And I highly recommend doing that because you never know what that will lead to, in the sense that come time for them to send out applications, I'm all over the place, I had a lot of caffeine. Come time that they send out invitations for people to come for interviews, they will already have known who you are, they'll know a bit about you, and now all of a sudden your interview questions are going to be way different than the standard, tell me about your strengths and weaknesses. It's going to be, hey, I already know quite a bit about you, Will. What led you to reaching out to me in the first place? Boom, we're already having this more intimate connection, intimate conversation, and that's what separates you as a human being. Your GPA doesn't separate you as a human being. Your GRE score doesn't separate you as a human being. Can they help you get your foot in the door? Sure. Do they help you stay in the door? I'd argue not so much. I'd argue it's about the relationships and the connections that you make with human beings, especially human beings of influence, especially at these PT programs, if you really want to get into these programs. So that's my advice. I think you can really set yourself up for success and potentially already get your foot in a door in a program by building relationships now before ever even applying to PT school. Give it a shot. Totally up to you. Some people don't feel comfortable doing it. Make it genuine. Just ask questions about learning. Don't go in with any intention that someone's going to give you a position in a program. That's not what it's about. It's just about learning and understanding, connecting with these people. And it's your interview too for them. You're going to be spending 2.5, 3.5 years with this group of people. Make sure they're the people you want to be surrounded with, because you are important. What you want to get out of life is important. And don't ever, ever, ever underestimate that. All right, guys, take care.